So, Mark, we've talked about the smut peddlers on the strip, the hot dog guys who have shown up on the strip, but now we have a new person coming into the game, a tarot card reader right out on the strip near Bellagio, I think. What will they think of next?
I mean, this just screams like Fremont Street, like they're trying to make a little bit of money out here. And you know that she had to have gotten approval because you can't put up all these tables and lights and everything and be out on the strip. So this must be something that they're trying to do, but it feels just cheap and crowded and it's terrible. And, we've complained about Fremont Street, how there's too much going on, and this just feels exactly like that. So I'm all against it, not for it.
I don't know that she has a approval for this. I think she just set up a table, threw some ring lights up, and she's doing this. I mean, I've never heard of people getting approval to do strip side stuff on the sidewalk like this, but I don't think that it's legal, but people can let us know in the comments. But I love that she just has the whole setup. Boom, got the lights, got everything. She's probably making a fortune too. She's making Yeah, exactly.
It's like that when I walked the Brooklyn Bridge and they have like those people with the 360 cameras set up and the New York Alicia Keys song or whatever, and they have you stand there and do it. And I'm sure they don't have any approval to do that, but they're trying making bank from everybody wanting to make TikToks and everything. So same thing, I guess. Get it while you can.
Mark, the 4th of July happened and fireworks happened all over the valley as expected.
Who cares?
So much illegal fireworks, though. I mean, they only gave out 61 citations, and there's just illegal fireworks everywhere in the valley. That just shows you how good the enforcement really is. But of course, the big story of the night was the Sphere Las Vegas, Vegas Sphere.
Nobody cares about fireworks.
Formerly known as the MSG Sphere. We've talked a lot about the financial problems with this building, that it probably, financially didn't make sense to build this. We've covered all the struggles, all the construction, every test that they've done, and then they debuted it for an outside show on July 4th. And I mean, yeah, it was spectacular. It looked spectacular, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and we talked last episode about, I don't think this will cause traffic problems or whatever, and it had to have caused a lot of backups. People that were driving by stopped and took video or pictures or whatever. So, if this is something that they do on nightly or something, I think that will maybe cause a problem. But it was really amazing. I've given it a lot of crap, but it blew my mind, and it was a lot better than I expected it to be. This is what we originally envisioned it looking like, and all throughout it felt like it was going to be a dumbed down version of it, but they really nailed it.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago when they released that new concept art that just had like stripes around the outside, and we thought maybe they cut back the screen, and they didn't really refute that at all. So there's just been a lot of roller coaster rides with this, and to see it finally lit up. And I think they did over 30 minutes of different visuals, and there's videos all over social media. I'll throw some up here for you guys to look at. And there's so many different things, from like basketballs to like eyeballs. There's that volcanic stuff, the moon, the earth, a pumpkin. I mean, they just did so many things. And like, there's this one shot of the monorail going down where it's the moon and the monorail is passing. And I mean, it looks incredible. I mean, I don't think that we've ever seen anything quite to this level of screen. So, it's, I'm almost speechless about it. It looked great. And I can't wait to see even more. But what a great way to kind of debut it months before they actually open so they can get the hype machine going.
Yeah, I wonder, what's inside going to be like. We haven't really seen inside with all the lights and everything, and a show. I'm sure it's going to be epic when they do it. I haven't seen any. Have you seen any pictures from like an aircraft or anything? Somebody up in the sky flying into Vegas or flying out of Vegas during that period. I think that would have been cool, but I haven't seen anything pop up. But just imagine what it looks like from there. Maybe we can get like from the space station if it lines up properly. I wonder if it shows from there, because it was like way better than I ever expected, and everything looked really cool. So I do think it's going to be a traffic problem, though.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything from the air yet. I saw aerials of like the fireworks over Las Vegas, but I didn't see any specifically of the Sphere. Yeah, we don't know, what it looks like inside yet, Mark, but we do know one thing that's not going to be inside of the Sphere.
Bar.
Yeah, the longest bar in the world is not going to be there. So I know it still hurts. But yeah, let us know what you guys think of the show. Did you go? Did you see the videos? Let us know in the comments. Let's discuss it there. Is this, financial issues aside, this is pretty spectacular, and it's a great thing for Las Vegas, I think. So also great for Las Vegas, arguably, is Penn Teller, the longtime magicians at the Rio. In fact, I think they started there in 2001. So they've been going at it for a long time. They've watched that property really go downhill. But Dreamscape's taking over. Can you imagine, like,
They
just
need
watching the palace
they-
crumble around you?
their closing trick should be making one pillow turn into 5 pillows so people can have pillows when they're there.
But they just extended their stay there through 2026. Dreamscape announced this, and that's not really a surprise because the whole redevelopment of Rio won't be finished before then. So keeping Penn and Teller there, they really like the theater. Yeah, probably not. But they really like the theater. They like, and I've heard him talk on podcasts, Penn Jillette, about, he likes the convenience there. They got a really good schedule as far as their days off and being able to do other stuff. So they've been happy there. And like I said, they've watched the palace fall around them, crumble to the ground. But they're going to be sticking it out for a few more years there, making it 25 altogether. Pretty crazy.
It makes. I thought they had started before '01, to be honest. Like, it just feels like they're just been there forever. Which it's still a very long time. And it's a show I've never made it to, and I always wanted to. It was a part of the Caesars Diamond free tickets, and it was one of the harder ones to get, and I could never make it work. But always wanted to check it out. And I'm not a huge magic person, but I've watched their show a couple times where they try to figure out other people doing tricks and everything, and that was always interesting. I think people actually watch that one unlike some other people's magic show.
Yeah, I think so. One other thing that's interesting here is this is Dreamscape releasing news about the operations of Rio. So we know they're taking over by the end of the year. It's good to see these little signs of them being in charge and taking this property past it. Caesars will not be involved. Did you see this crazy story about this man got arrested? He was cycling through casinos, up and down escalators, upstairs, just harassing people. And then apparently Metro Traffic got word of him. They surveilled him for a while, and then they used air units to track him down. He ran away, and they threw the book at him. They charged him with like 1 million different things for doing this. And of course, his shirt was the best thing about all of it.
Can you even show it? I don't even know if you could show it.
I'll blur it out, part of it.
And we talked about those the Amigo scooters going up and down escalators and stairs, and how it was crazy during COVID. This is like next level, and it's kind of surprising nobody got hurt. But I mean, dirt bikes are super loud, so I'm guessing people got a heads up that it was coming. But still, to be riding it through those densely populated areas of people walking around and stuff, it's just nuts. The world is a crazy place these days.
He probably thought he was going to be a nuisance, and just make loud noise and piss people off. And now he's probably going to go to jail for quite a long time. I mean, they threw a lot, including like child endangerment. So, not a good idea. Another crazy night on the Strip. I mean, so many crazy things happen. This isn't even in like the top, 100. We cover these things all the time. So he's got to try harder next time if he wants to make like the Hall of Fame of weird things on the Strip.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so there was this video on Twitter that surfaced of the Wynn Ballroom, all set up basically as a basketball gym. Looks really cool. And that's because the NBA Summer League is in town the 7th through the 17th of July. Those games are at the Thomas and Mack Center. So you can, see a lot of, up-and-coming basketball players play there. And I guess they're practicing all around town. And to go with that, the NBA Con is happening at Mandalay Bay, July 7th through the 9th. And this is like what you would expect. You could meet kind of retired players. It's everything basketball, right? They have all these different hoops set up, and I did one of these a long time ago. It's an NBA weekend. There's always something happening in Vegas, but cool to see that Wynn Ballroom converted into a basketball gym.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, you wonder if it's easy for them or hard, because you always hear, like, when they go into football stadium and stuff, the sight lines are tough to make shots and everything. So if you're practicing on that with weird sight lines and lower ceilings, does it mess up your game for when you go into the stadium and play? And it's interesting, but I didn't know that there was an NBA Con. You hear Comic-Con and all that type of stuff, but a sporting one, it makes a lot of sense, and it's pretty cool. I don't know how long it's been going on, but it's awesome to have in Vegas if you're big into NBA. And tickets didn't seem too terribly priced. I saw the super high VIP was sold out, but the lower version is $250. Just seems like something really cool if you're into that stuff and you want to see players and everything, like the sports version of Comic-Con. I wonder if, is there an NFL one or other ones? I'd be kind of curious to see.
I know the NFL does versions of this, like during Super Bowl week, where they have the different booths set up all around the Super Bowl city, but I don't know if they have like a off-season con. That'd be interesting to find out. Let us know in the comments. Have you ever gone? I'd like to discuss it there. But yeah, NBA all over. So if you see a really tall person walking around the Strip this weekend, they might be a famous basketball player. So did you see that Crockfords has a membership club. So Resorts World, we talked about their new, transformation, the way they're marketing themselves, something for everyone. Part of their commercial is, rich old guys smoking cigars mixed with young people in clubs. And now they have launched this membership club. And I didn't see like a lot of coverage of this, but it was in Travel and Leisure magazine. And they've invited 65 people into this membership club already with, they're talking Fortune 500 execs, celebrities. They even said influencers in their respective local circles. So Mark and I are putting our names out there for an invitation to this club, just so you know, we have a little bit of influence in this circle. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be this like super high end, exclusive thing when you arrive by limo, the way they treat you on property, having all your preferences. So a thing for the super rich, but it was an interesting little quirk. I saw that they do have a version of this at some of their properties in Malaysia, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more for it. Like if you're 65, only people like have like a little lounge for them to hang out or something cool. And maybe they do, they just don't publicize it because it just sounds like what any high roller would get treated at their favorite property. You're going to get picked up at the airport. I know this is with a Rolls Royce likely, but limo, you're going to get seated, wherever you want to sit at a restaurant, and they're going to know what kind of food you want and stuff like that, leave you little gifts in your room. So, I mean, if you're Fortune 500 company CEO, I feel like this is just run of the mill. And I would like to see them do something a little bit more special. Maybe just being known to be one of 65 is special enough. I don't know. But I'm kind of surprised there wasn't something like a secret passageway to this lounge that you can smoke cigars or something,
Maybe there is, and they're just not telling us about it. It's too exclusive.
They get to use Bruno Mars overpriced stairs, right? No, wrong property.
Yeah, wrong property. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Clearly, I mean, maybe this is for very wealthy people or influential people who don't gamble a lot. They say very clearly that your card is on file. So everything you're doing, they're just charging, but it's just like this seamless experience, this home away from home. So, I mean, you're not talking about a product that's going out to thousands of people. So I'm sure there is a small group of people who are super affluent, want this sort of whale treatment without, all the sort of barriers. You can go to any hotel and put your credit card down and do all that. But to go to a place where they know all your preferences, do all of that, and maybe you don't gamble a lot. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. And of course, they're using those Rolls Royces for good stuff. The weirdest story of the week related to Vegas. This guy in the Netherlands, in this like 500 person village in the Netherlands, they have this big parade, and he decided he wanted to build a casino themed float for his parade. And somehow he got a hold of Boulder Station. He figured Boulder Station on Boulder Highway was the casino to do it. And so in this little 500 person town, this team of people built a Boulder Station parade float, and it won the first prize, of course. And the little Boulder Strip represented halfway around the world in the Netherlands. Insane.
This was like the weirdest story I think we've come across this year. Just one, that you pick Boulder Station out of everything. Two, that you're doing it in the small town where like 35 people had to work on it for months. And I can't even imagine the amount of money that was spent to do it, all for this tiny little parade. It'd be one thing if you're like, I'm going to bring it down, the Vegas Strip on 4th of July or whatever, then that would make somewhat sense. Or if it was this huge contest that you could win some money or something. But for somebody to pour this much passion into, something around the world for this small town pulled by a tractor, it's so bizarre.
It is really crazy. And, you could also see if they did the Bellagio or one of the more iconic casinos that everybody, even probably in a small town in Netherlands, would know about. But to just pick a random local casino on the Boulder Strip, like they had to be like, what's Boulder Station? But of course, that little casino, they were so proud to tweet this out. And I guess it's a win for local casinos, which often get overshadowed.
I hope they send him like a free trip or something from all this publicity they've gotten out of it, or, hook the guy up. He took care of you pretty well.
Yeah, he sure did. Great job there. So Bill Hornbuckle did an interview with the Nevada Independent, and it started with like the talking about I-15 and how that's still such a huge bottleneck for customers. Hornbuckle talked about how he did the drive himself to experience it. So he's a man of the people, Mark. He sat in traffic 8 hours to do it. I love when CEOs do those relatable type lines, that relate to their customers.
I did it once. I know. Next time I took my helicopter.
Yeah, I'll never do that again. I just hopped in the private jet after that. But he said that California, remember in 2021, Gavin Newsom and Steve Sisolak, they met at the border and they talked about adding a temporary third lane for the stretch just past state line. Apparently, California is still dragging their feet on that. because of an environmental study. So he updated, I think that's going to happen next year, but there's still like 100 miles that need to be widened. So he's talked about his sort of campaigning on a federal level because he's on this advisory board about doing that. He also said that he didn't think Brightline would get built before 10 years. He said he thought it was on a 10-year time frame, which is a lot longer than what Brightline has been saying. I think they're talking having it open in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it just stinks that all this is getting held up because, that land is in the middle of nothing. There's nothing there. It should be pretty easy. It's flat, mostly flat. It doesn't seem like there'd be a lot of excavating to do. They should be able to widen a highway pretty easily. I don't know what type of, tests they need to do, but in 10 years for a train, I feel like back in the gold rush, they would have had that thing up in like a year or less. There's no rules back then. They didn't have to do testing or government stuff.
Yeah, no environmental studies, any of that stuff. But some other stuff he was talking about was interesting. He talked about the New York casino, how they're trying to get that done in Yonkers, and hopefully we'll know by next year if they get the license. We've talked about competing projects like Caesars wants to build one in Times Square. There's a few other competing casino projects, and I think there's only going to be 3 licenses in New York State. Talked about Macau, saying that they're basically back to 2019 economic levels with only 60% of the people, meaning on spending, people are far outspending in Macau compared to pre-pandemic, and that's very similar to what we saw here. So, and I saw that in person when I was there a month and a half ago. It was just packed. So, and people were, it was very lively compared to what I thought it would be. And then he also talked about, obviously, Osaka, how they're going to be moving forward. They're figuring out the latest development plan, getting all the contracts signed. And then Dubai, I think we briefly mentioned that on the show, their Dubai project, which is going to have like an area set aside for a casino, because casinos are illegal there, but they're hoping, I guess, to get the Emirates to pass, allow it for legal gambling. But it's going to have 1,200 rooms, Aria, MGM, and Bellagio brands under one roof in Dubai, maybe with a casino, maybe without. So a lot of interesting things for MGM coming up. But I am glad Bill Hornbuckle took the I-15 once, so he feels our pain.
Yeah, that's a lot of outlay that they have going on. And, that's part of the reasons they were, selling some things, selling the land out from under their casinos in Vegas so they could build up a war chest for this stuff. The Dubai one is really intriguing to me because they're taking a bit of a gamble, trying like building this thing, hoping for a casino to come. And this is going to be a massive resort. And I know Dubai is a big tourist spot, and a lot of people go there and will spend a lot of money, for luxury. So they could still tap into that without the casino, but, we've never seen that level of expertise from MGM to cater to that type of setting. You look at the Bellagio, it's not really run all that well for a high-end property. If it was Wynn or somebody like that, I could see it fitting more. So I'm kind of curious how this plays out and if they can fit into that mold in that area and who's going to manage it for them, because I don't think they can handle it and be at that level that you would need to be at to make that work.
Yeah, on one hand, if this goes well, this could be their first foray into really just hospitality without casinos, or building big resorts without a casino in a lot of other places. But to your point, they aren't really synonymous with world-class luxury in their properties. Now, I've heard MGM Macau does reach to those levels. I haven't personally stayed there. Based on my visits there, I would say it absolutely is a top-scale luxury property, unlike what you see here. I would say certainly even above Bellagio. I think maybe we could see that on an international level, but I think 1,200 rooms is a huge hotel. So I think the scale of it might allow them to make the money that they need with or without the casino. But clearly with the casino planned in there, maybe they think they can change the government's mind. I think Caesars has a Caesars Palace there as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it looks from the renderings and everything, it looks like it's going to be beautiful whenever it's done. And I like that they took 3 of their more known properties and brought a little bit of each one to there. So it'll be kind of like a mini Vegas, all on top of each other, which will be cool to check out for sure.
Yeah, the Aria brand and the Bellagio brands finally making it overseas, not just MGM, because that's what they've really used is the MGM brand everywhere. So yeah, good to see that. So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today, the Boulder Station parade float, the MSG Sphere. It really looked incredible. If you want to go in the comments and say that looked terrible, then we know you're trolling. So, but yeah, let us know what you think of all the different shots. What was your favorite one? Was it the eyeball? Was it? I really think the moon.
That was creepy.
That was. Yeah, there was some creepy ones.
I really like the one that started out like metal and then it receded and it was like a little fishbowl thing. I think that was the coolest one.
Yeah, that was crazy. So let us know about all of that in the comments. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in just a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good weekend.